Well, maybe it really is the year of the wolf. Pack in the championship is what I'd add.
Yeah, absolutely no chance. But anyway, good on you, Alfie. No hope. Have you not been watching Saints and Wigan? Anyway, let's move on to Joshua McKenzie, a fine, upstanding young man of the Super League pod. The game could have gone anyway. Both teams played well in so many minutes. I completely agree, mate. Yeah, so the game bounced about one way, back and forward, and you never knew quite who was going to win until Warrington just kind of found that extra gear with a couple of sweet players.
You can change the emphasis on the so many minutes to make it the fact that he kicked off 6 minutes late, 20 minutes at half time, the second half an hour.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Those aspects of it. Tim Gradio we finished with, and he said, I'm loving Ablett's new look as a Raspberry, a champion performance from Wire. I don't know, Ablett did so well in this game, didn't he? Which
I thought my personal opinion was he was the Leeds best player on the night, I thought.
Yeah, so I suppose the floor's yours here now, Rich, to tell us what you made of it and where you feel it means Leeds are at and that sort of stuff.
Totally. Let's get a couple of things straight. That if you followed the Rhinos for a number of years, that there's certain points of the season where you assess where we're at, and I think as a team we're just about where we're at, where we should be, considering the kind of opening to the season that we've had. And a couple of things that I think you might echo this sentiment, Mark, but I think we're a better defensive team than we were last year, and I think we're a better offensive team. I think we're all round a better team than we were last year, but being the best team don't win trophies, and I don't want that to sound as a cliche. Leeds didn't win all those titles by being the best team, and I mean in technically in the terms of attack or defence. But we've had it, call it mongrel, call it something. I think our attack's nicer than it was last year, and it looks more cohesive, and we're defending great. I just think that there's something that's a little bit missing at this moment in time, and that don't mean to say that it won't be there at the end of the year. And where I sit right now, my gut feeling is just outside the 4 is probably where I probably just see us. We've still got a game in hand on Hull, so if we win that, we're back in the 4, so there's no need to panic. And I think, and it's a cliche now, and it's not our get out of jail free card, but let's see what Leeds are doing in August, and that's when you'll know whether we're ready to go again. But at this moment in time, I'll put it straight out there now before we go any further. I can't see past Wigan and Saints at this moment in time in terms of where they're at and who's going to win the grand final. But we all know there's a lot of rugby to be played, and 2 or 3 injuries could decimate a team's season. But if the key players are on board, then literally it's Wigan or Saints are going to win the grand final unless Leeds can do what Leeds do best, and we're not going to know whether that's possible until August. But I think there's 3 teams who can win the grand final, and Castleford, Hull FC, Warrington, they are those teams, and I'm thinking Saints, and I still think Saints and Wigan will Leeds with a chance after this. But I think Wire played really, really well. Harvey Levette looked absolutely outstanding, and I loved the chances that the Wolves were taking up the middle. They were right up the guts with Clark and Ratchford playing off him.
Dummy half, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, it's fantastic. And there's some of those they got to that point in the game where they needed to chance their arm, and they did it really well. And I think Leeds, let's just highlight that Goulding came up with 2 massive errors, which should probably see him get dropped if Jack Walker's fully fit, which I think he is.
That's one of the things I was going to talk about when you talked about the defence. I think some of the team selections that are being made are made with defence in mind. Ashton Goulding, even in the post-match, McDermott pointed out, he's a really good defensive fullback, and he doesn't normally make errors like that. And that's true. But similarly, he doesn't offer enough in attack, and this has been consistently the point for last season, early last season, all the way through to now. He doesn't offer enough in attack, and when he's making mistakes, it highlights whether he's really worth the role in the side or not. Not that I don't rate, what he does well. He does really well, but when he's making mistakes defensively and catching and that sort of stuff, it highlights that you've got someone who's better. Why is he not playing?
look, obviously Jack Walker's been injured and he's had a niggly injury, and he played in the 19s the other night opposed to going out to Featherstone to get his fitness back. But, it's so blatantly obvious that Walker, in many ways, is a different class, and Leeds just look an absolute better team with him on the field. And, he is the best fullback at Leeds, and if not one of the best in the league, and certainly, for me, the best young player in terms of commanding that position and the amount of game time he's had. Now, the sooner we get Walker back in the team, the better, and I think he's naturally the Leeds number one now. I think if we look to problems within this game itself, the couple of errors from Walker, the couple of errors from Golding at the back, and the turning point in the game for me personally, there were a couple of sloppy errors, but I'm the biggest JJB fan in the world, but we had complete ascendancy in that game, and he knocked the ball on first tackle coming off our line, after we'd got our foothold in the game, and should have really kicked on. And it's the little 1%ers like that which totally swung the momentum back towards to wire. And if we were going to win that game, then we needed to complete that set, complete the next 2 or 3 sets after that, and hopefully potentially score or be playing the game down the other end. What we did is turn the ball over and wire was straight back in the game. So that lead we built up, that ascendancy we got, would just diminish straight away. And the crux of the game is on those 1%ers, the couple of drops by Golding, losing the ball coming off your own line, and that's where the game's decided.
We've slated Ryan Atkins for the things he deserves slating for, but that is one of those absolute fine margin things that happened in this game. Was his pickup for his try was just
totally. I thought he'd knocked
top
it
class.
And for all money, I thought he'd knocked it on, mate.
Especially when he celebrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, it was a brilliant pickup, really good try, really well worked as well, because they'd swapped Brown over to the right hand side because they'd obviously seen something in behind the defence on that side to say there's an opportunity here. Golding's cheating too much over to the other side from fullback, and you can get in behind, maybe a bit in behind those defenders on that side, because you tend to have your older second rowers on the left hand side, I've noticed, and Stevie Ward will be on the right hand side. So reaction time and that sort of, and plus you've got Hanley, who's playing great in the centre but playing out of position in the centre, so you've got there's things to work against there, and Wire picked up on that absolutely flawlessly. And then off the back of that, you got the 2 Harvey Levett tries, didn't you, which were great length of the field kind of work from them. They cut you up the middle, they cut you out wide. All of their players were on the same page, even though the play was off the cuffish, which just shows that what Price has actually managed to do with this Warrington side now is moved on from that kind of solid defensive side that he'd been building at the start of the season that weren't really exciting anyone, to a side that now have learned how to play in this different way, and they still have that kick up the middle when they need it, that they were so good at for 10 years under Tony Smith. But they've also got people running cleverer lines for each other and that sort of stuff, and I think that means their support play opens them up to offload a bit better, and rather than take the tackle, get another quick play of the ball, take the tackle, get another quick play of the ball, and then spread it out wide, which is all they used to do. They've now also got people running lines for them closer to the ruck, I think, which you saw on those sort of tries. I think that was really good play from Warrington. It was an exciting game.
The confidence players, though, they look like a team that have just won the last 8 games.
Yeah.
They don't look like a team who are putting the ball down. I've seen those kind of players put on where, I can't remember who went up the gut, so I'm just going to assume it's Clark, but then there was a little cheeky flick to Ratchford, who just steamed through, and it was almost a semi-juggle where he took it on his hip and almost on his quad, regathered the ball and off he went. But when you've lost your last 3 or 4, you're going to put that down every time, and that's where the game's gone. And what they did, those passes stick when you've got confidence, and they just look like a team who have forgotten how to lose at the minute, and that's a dangerous beast in any sport, and especially ours, and they look like a team who are heading in the right direction. Now, is it their year? Absolutely not. No chance.
I think one of the other things is,
but they're a good team. They're a good team again. You can't take that away from them.
They're getting some good stuff out of the players that I wasn't necessarily expecting much from. That Sitaleki Akwala, I thought he was going to be a damp squib, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to get on the pitch, everyone would think he'd be amazing, and then he'd get hit and stop and fall back every time. But actually, he's only doing short bursts, but he's having an impact at least once or twice in both his spells. He's having an impact where he's getting defenders really tied in. And when you've got finishers like Lynham and Charnley, now they weren't the people finishing the tries in this game, but when you've got people like that out wide, that sort of thing creates for you, and I think that's what Aquala's been doing. There was a run he made in the first half, which didn't actually lead to anything, but it was that sort of thing. I think it might have been before the Murdoch-Masila try that wasn't given, maybe, where he drew everyone in and then there was loads of space. But Ben Murdoch-Masila getting stopped by Callum Watkins is just something you wouldn't have seen before.
Well, Richie Myler put his body on the line, didn't he? Richie Myler just sort of just was, anything to get get your body on the line, get yourself in front of him, and it just gained him an extra yard just to get him down. You know what I mean? And not to throw it all back on Leeds, but I think it'd be unfair not to mention as a Leeds fan, how well Richie Myler's going, and whether he can be the catalyst to get us over the line in the big games and kick on. But you can't deny his ability to spot a pass, to pick a play, and I think I'm more than chuffed with the business that we've done. I still think he's probably the form half-back of the comp.
That's actually the thing I want to finish on Leeds, because you were talking before about the defence has improved. The attack looks neater, but hasn't necessarily translated into more points and that sort of stuff. And Richie Myler looks absolute quality, but and Moon sometimes looks so elusive. But do you think at times those two as a halfback pairing is what's ultimately going to stop you from winning trophies this year? Because you look at the big moments in the big games, and they haven't made the right decisions, even when they've resulted in narrow wins at times, or wins in some games. But particularly, I think you're going to look back at the end of your season if you don't make that top four and look at Wigan at home and Hull away in the middle of the regular season and think that's where we cost ourselves. Terrible setups for drop goals and terrible execution of those plays. Who was calling the play against Hull to drive to the line to set up a drop goal? And it's those things that I don't think would have happened with people who are used to grinding out those important moments. As halfbacks, as leaders of the team, and maybe.
I think, but let's not get carried away here. And you've met my old man, Mark, and he's a very staunch Leeds fan, and my dad's a shrewd operator and coached the game for a number of years. But he put it to me a few weeks ago. He's like, when did Leeds ever win a game by a drop goal? If you can name me where Leeds have won a one-pointer.
Catalan. Liam Sutcliffe about 3 years ago kicked a beauty of a drop goal, didn't he? That's the last one I can think of.
And Danny Maguire's last drop goal before they kicked in the grand final was in the 2014 Challenge Cup against Castleford. So we're not a team who traditionally we close out tight games, but we've never been a one-pointer set-up team, So it's something that this team's not used to doing, and maybe they need to find that in the locker really quick because we lost obviously. Kevin Sinfield moved on, Danny Maguire's moved on, and maybe we need to have something extra to be able to get ourselves over the line in these tight games. But it's not something that we've just got shit at because Mags has left.
No.
We've never been good at it, and that's our perception, and that was my old man's perception. I think he's bob on. He's like, Leeds have never been a drop goal specialist team, and maybe that's what you get from having a prop forward who's your coach. Or Leeds, we know Leeds play a certain style, very unstructured and everything, and it don't lend itself to what we're trying to get done. But I think you just made a point there. When I look back on the season and when we don't win trophies, Mark, I think it's if we don't win trophies at this moment in time.
Yeah, of course, totally. I agree. No, I agree. Can't write off Leeds, and I also don't think you can write Warrington off like you were doing because I think there's something working well there. And I'm being completely honest, I'm really impressed with how they're building into their season. And on the stats from this game, they say why I deserve this result. 165 more metres at a better average gain, more tackle bust and more successful offloads. The 6-4 try win maybe shows they didn't take full advantage of an 2 clean break win. Leeds had the better of the penalties 4-7, but the worst of the errors 11-7. So Warrington maybe
standard.
Yeah, and Warrington did fantastic. I thought in this game they deserved the game, and it's Leeds.
I think the scoreline,
the game didn't get away from them at the point where it could have done, and that they even took a lead in this game, because they were only good enough for 20 minutes to even be on the same pitch as Warrington. I think were much better.
I agree completely, and I think that again the score, the halftime